Hey, welcome to Worship Tutorials a live test, I suppose this is. So, the point of this is a couple things. One, I tweaked this live video setup, so I would love your input. One, how does it sound? Hopefully there are no, like, loops of audio. I've had that issue in the past. Hey, Gabby's Vlogs. I can see your questions right down here. So, but today, what I want to do, I've had this idea for a while. I thought it'd be cool to show you what I do for audio video production. Hey Colin, hey Garrett, Christian, Connor, glad you guys are here with me. So I'm going to show you behind the scenes like what I do in a Logic session to edit audio. And it's 5 o'clock, so if I have time, I can show you some video stuff too. Anyway, so here's a song I'm working on, and this is the test that I want to do. I've never done like a screencast live before, so I'm curious what it sounds like. Hopefully, what I hope is you can get the audio from my room mic and the computer all in one. So anyway, here's my computer. My face is gonna go away. Actually, you get my face. No, it went away. There it went. There you can see. I use Wirecast, by the way, to stream. I have an old free version of it, but anyway, here's Logic. So I have a song that I'm working on called, this is Overcome by Elevation. Okay? So, hey Practical Worship, Oklahoma. That's right, I'm from Oklahoma. So, I'm gonna play this. Tell me if you can hear the audio of this song and it sounds like a song. Right now. And you should be able to hear my voice as well. Hopefully that still comes through. If you can, let me know. I think there's a bit of a delay on YouTube. I'm watching the video here. So now you should start, yeah, let me know.
Beyond all creation waits with an expectation to declare the reign of the Lord.
Hi, Bradford.
When the earth gives way before the risen
awesome.
One has overcome.
So you guys have told me you can hear the audio. Cool. So let's go through what I do. So if you can see that guitar, oh, you can't see the guitar because you can't see me. Hold on. See, I need a producer. Here you go. Okay. You can't see that guitar back there. That guitar is the one that I used for this song. I ran it direct. This video looks green to me. I don't like that. I gotta fix the white balance later. Okay, so I ran that guitar direct into Universal Audio Apollo Twin. It's not wanting to focus on my face either. Come on, camera. Come on. And when I track in Universal Audio, when I track through the Apollo, it lets you do some cool stuff. So they have what are called unison preamps. And so let me take you back to my screen so you can see. Here's the Apollo now. I can't show you much because I'm using like all of the, you can see I'm using like all of my DSP. So they have, the actual hardware has DSP chips in them that does the processing of the plugins in the back end. So this is the channel I'm running my room mic through at the moment. So when you track something, the idea is the best, when you track something, the best input signal you can get at once, the better. So I use the API Vision channel strip. If you guys like this stuff, let me know. If not, I can talk about other things. I use the API Vision channel strip for vocals. It's like an old school API preamp compressor EQ thing. And then I use the Universal Audio 610A preamp for guitar, for acoustic guitar direct. And that's it. So that's how I record direct. So let's go back into Logic. If you're asking me questions, I will try and get to those soon. Okay, so here's my acoustic guitar. Bradford. You jerk, Bradford. I'm gonna get out of here. How do I turn my, how do I turn my stuff off? That was my Aunt Diane's message that just popped up there. And Bradford's message that just popped up. My aunt lives in Montana, and she texted me to tell me that her worship leader at her church uses pads, and she asked if they were worship tutorials pads, and they said yes. Okay. So if you text me right now, it will pop up on the screen up here somewhere. So behave yourself, Bradford. Okay. Here's the guitar. First thing is a tuner, which is always nice. First thing I do is I actually use an IR. If I turn all this off, you can hear what the guitar sounds like on its own. So this is just the raw CEO7. Let's turn everything off, shall we? That's just the raw guitar. And let's turn stuff on one by one. So the first thing I do is run it through the Logic Space Designer, which lets you load an IR. And I actually have I have some acoustic IRs that I bought from somewhere, I can't remember exactly. Anyway, I have some acoustic IRs. It's supposed to take your dry acoustic guitar input and make it sound more like a mic'd acoustic. And I use the bye-bye, Bradford. I use the hi, Brad. Hello again. Texting you again. I use the Gibson Songbird one with my Martin guitar. I just think it makes it sound a little better. Here's the difference before and after. If you just pump all the IR into it, it gets a little boomy. So I go about a little bit of a mix. Okay, so that's the first thing. The next thing is I run it through this, Brand says, give Bradford the do not disturb. The next thing is I run it through, this is another Universal Audio plugin. I'm actually demoing it. You can see I have 11 days left, but I'm going to buy this because it's awesome. I run it through the Neve 88 RS channel strip. This thing is awesome. So when you mix and edit audio, basically the basics of what you do are EQ, compression, and then other stuff like, you know, reverb, delay, that kind of thing. So I'm running it through this, and it gives me, it's actually like running it through the actual console. They've modeled it. So it runs it through the mic preamp, then it runs it through this EQ section, then it runs it through this compression section, and then it runs out. So this is with it off. That's on. You can tell it adds a lot of volume, so you don't have to let it add volume. So I'll turn just the EQ section on and off. So you can see here I've added a little bit of high shelf at about 8K. That's what that button is. I've added a little bit of high mids at like 3500 with that kind of EQ. I've taken out some low mids around 570 hertz. And I've taken out a little bit of low end around 300, 400 hertz, somewhere in there. So with these kind of EQs, it's best just to use your ears. The next thing I do is I run it through this plugin called Neutron by Isotope, which it like listens to your track and says, "Hey, this is how you can fix it." Basically, it's another kind of EQ compression kind of a plugin, but you can see that it found some nasty frequencies. This is off. I'll turn it on. So if you take just this EQ, for example, they're cutting it. So that was pretty gross. So that's what I do for acoustic, and then it adds a little bit of compression as well. Okay, so from there we go, and you always want to mix in context with the full mix. So here is what the vocals sound like by themselves. This would be fun.
Now the darkness fades into new beginnings as we lift our eyes to the hope beyond.
Okay, so first thing I do is run it through the Neve 88RS channel strip again. Let me do that and turn it back on and off for you. Let's turn all this stuff off, shall we? So now we're just oh, this is what they sound like, you know, without anything.
Into new beginnings.
Not bad.
As we lift our eyes to the hope beyond.
So when I tracked the vocals, I tracked them through the API Vision channel strip from UAD. And I added a little bit of EQ and compression there on tracking. Okay? Alright, so now when you I'm running the EQ and compression from this channel and the mic preamp sort of saturation. Let's go here.
We will not be moved when the earth gives way.
So you can
For
hear
the risen one has overcome.
adding a lot of high end, taking away a lot of stuff. All right, if you guys are asking questions, I'm sorry I haven't been paying too much attention. First of all, let me ask you this: is this stuff interesting to you, or is this like just total boring? Jamie Huntington, what's your favorite Martin guitar to lead? The CEO7 behind me, the Sunburst one, is awesome. I love it. What are ears? Jamie says, what? Okay. Are you asking about my in-ears? Or did somebody else ask about them? Julie is trying to form a band, I see. Okay. Good luck with that. Let's see here. Do we record sermons and put them out on a podcast? We put our messages on YouTube, I think. Just look up New Hope Church on YouTube. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this. Now, so I've added a lot of high end at about 7.5K right there. I've added a little bit of high mids at around 5,000. I've taken away a little bit of low mids. Everything gets muddy in the lower mid range. Looks like around 1,000, and I've added a little bit of body around 250. And
And for every fear, there's an empty grave.
And the compressor's not really working here.
Has overcome.
So I need to do some work.
Now the silence breaks.
So now I'm going to compress.
In the name of Jesus.
There we go.
As the heavens cry, let the earth respond. All creation shout.
And if you ever compress,
With a voice of triumph,
this here
to
is
declare the reign of the Lord
this will tell
our
you
God.
how much gain reduction you're putting on
We
your
will
track.
not be moved
And so I'm going
when
to
the
compensate
earth
by
gives
gaining it
way.
up.
For the risen one
If you
has
increase the gain on
overcome.
this mic preamp, it saturates it.
And for every fear,
That's pretty cool.
there's an empty grave.
That sounds
For
alright.
the risen one has overcome.
I'm not quite done with this track, so you can watch me kind of work on it in real time. Okay, so that'll work for this part of the vocal. Next thing I do is a plug-in by Waves called Vocal Rider, and this is really cool. So it kind of like rides your vocal up and down based on volume.
When the earth gives way,
So your louder
for the
parts get
risen
ducked
one has
down,
overcome.
and your quieter parts go up. Looks like everything's just
And
ducking
for
down.
every fear, there's an empty grave.
Okay, next thing is a
For the
de-esser.
risen one-
So a de-esser gets rid of the tss sounds. Those are nasty if they're in there. Let's see if you can see it working here.
Into
There it was.
new beginnings as we live.
So you can see it attenuates the stuff down.
All creation way.
The s and sh, that stuff will sound terrible in your track if you are not careful. So the last thing I do again is I love this I kind of am new to the Neutron plugin. It's made by Isotope. You can actually rent to own it for $14 a month, which is a pretty good deal. Here it is on and off. So you can see it adds a lot of clarity. It's adding this high-end EQ. And a couple compressors. And this exciter, it's pretty cool. It just adds energy. Off. Makes a big difference. I used to use this plugin called CLA Vocals, which is really nice. It's all in one plugin. But I kind of like having, I'm just trying out new things. Anyway, you put them together, sounds like this.
Now the darkness fades into new beginnings as we lift our eyes to the whole beyond.
Okay, now the next thing is you want reverb and delay on your vocals. So I have a send. At least on this kind of a thing, you want reverb. So another plugin I'm trying out that was highly recommended to me is this reverb called the EMT 250, also by Universal Audio. So I'm running it into this. Let me solo this so you can just hear the vocal.
All creation waits within expectation.
So if you'd send a bunch of vocal to it, that's a little much.
We will not be moved.
Just want it to sound like you're in a room. I like it about there. You can make the vocal longer, or the reverb shorter.
There's an empty grave.
Kind of like it in there. This is high and low cuts. This is pre-delay.
And now the silence breaks.
All right.
In the name of Jesus. As the heavens
is Bradford,
let the earth respond.
Is Bradford over there answering questions? Dude, Bradford. Yes, you do need Neutron. It comes with Neutron, and it comes with a mastering plugin I'm about ready to show you called Isotope, which is, called, where is it? Ozone. There it is. Ozone and Neutron are both made by Isotope. They're awesome. Okay. Thank you, Practical Worship. I appreciate that. So, yeah, I guess you can ask Bradford questions if he's hanging out. Do the plugins run on average? So Universal Audio plugins, Jessica, are not cheap. Like those channel strip plugins, like this Neve, and the API channel strip that I use. You can see it here. That's the API one that I'm actually tracking this room mic through it. They're about $300 each. But you can get them on sale. Oh, I forgot to talk about this. I use this Ocean Way Studios plugin too a lot. Now, when I bought my Apollo, it came with a lot of, the person I bought it from had a lot of these plugins already. So, but they have a lot of Black Friday deals, so I'm kind of going to hop on that and get, like, everything now is at least half off. But you have to have a Universal Audio interface to use it. And I have some Waves plugins too that I got, and they have a lot of Black Friday stuff going on now. Like, you can get a lot, some of their stuff is like 90% off, but I've bought this stuff over time. Okay, let's go. So the vocal and the guitar together. You can see I'm sending, turn this down a little bit. So I'm sending a little bit of my guitar to the reverb as well. So it feels like, with reverb, you just want it to feel like you're in the same space. So, you know, reverb on a vocal and none on a guitar, it's going to sound a little weird together. Okay. All right, so the next thing I do is I send both of these, or anything I have. You can see they're all going to this bus number 20, which I call the mix bus. The vocal, the guitar, all going to bus 20. The reverb goes to bus 20. I was playing around with pad 7. We're going to get those out of there. Pad 7 are coming soon. And all this goes to this, what I call the mix bus. So typically what a lot of people do when they mix is they will put it all goes to like one fader or one channel, and then you can put a plugin on that. And I use this plugin from Waves called CLA Mix Bus, which is really cool. It adds like compression on the whole thing, and it adds some EQ, and you can, this drive thing is like how hard are you pushing the actual console itself. All right. Let me turn it back up, turn this thing back on and off.
When the earth gives way, for the risen one has overcome.
Okay, so you can see it fattens it up. It gives it a little more volume. We're gonna give this thing a lot more volume here in just a second. Okay, so the last thing that I do is then I send the mix bus to the master bus. And on the master bus, I have this mastering plugin called Ozone, also by Isotope. So I'm going to turn it on and off, and you're going to hear a massive difference. I'm going to turn the volume down.
All creation shouts with a voice of triumph to declare the reign of the Lord our God. We will not be moved when the earth gives way, for the risen one has overcome.
So you can hear a lot of stuff, and one thing you can do with the Isotope plugins is they let you do like this assistant where you turn it on and it'll run your audio through it, and it will auto detect like nasty frequencies like these that it wants to get rid of. So first thing it did was an EQ, just brought in low end and high end to fatten it up, make it a little more clarity. And then it did this dynamic EQ. Miriam, hello. I'm going through like how I edit. What is this? She says. I just clicked here. I'm going through how I edit a song. This is Logic. Hold on a second. Hi, here's my face. But I'm showing you my computer screen so you can see how I edit stuff. All right. Let's see. And so this dynamic EQ, what it does is when these frequencies build up, it sort of attenuates them down. So it's not like these EQs aren't just sitting on the mix. It's only when they get hit real hard. Actually, I'll bring it.
And for every fear, there's an empty grave. For the risen one has
So a dynamic EQ is almost like a multi-band compressor in kind of on an EQ. So you can see now it's not EQing anything. Like when it gets louder, you can see it dips down. Alright, so that's pretty much it. So, you know, this mix might need a little bit of tweaking here and there, but I'm getting there. I kind of like the way that sounds, just for an acoustic and a vocal. One thing I do with vocals that I haven't shown you is I pitch correct them. Logic is giving me some kind of bug where I get this little black bar. Anyway. So you can see I've already pitch corrected these vocals. Let me show you how this works.
Now the darkness fades.
And this is built in. See, that fades was off. So it should have gone down to there.
Now the darkness fades.
And you can adjust all kinds of stuff with this.
Now the darkness fades into new beginnings, as we lift our eyes to the hope beyond.
And this is just built into Logic. It'll automatically find all this stuff, and then you can pitch correct everything, or you can do it all manually. Problem is if you just
creation way,
it's kind of an art.
With an expectation.
So you've got to go in. I like to manually go in and do it all manually. But if you've ever wondered if I use pitch correction on these songs for YouTube, the answer is yes, I do, on everything. And if you think that's cheating, then everybody cheats. And then I guess, because there's no such thing as not pitch corrected vocal out there. At least for like professionally recorded music. Almost everything is pitch corrected. So if you don't put something out, if you put something out that's not pitch corrected, it stands out and sounds really bad in comparison. So one thing you got to do is get rid of all this.
We will not be moved when the earth gives way, for the risen one has overcome. And for every fear, there's an empty grave.
She can do some pretty drastic stuff.
For the risen one has overcome.
Let me put this back to the original. So that's where I was when I actually sang it, and so it just pitch corrected it down just a touch, see? Barely. So here's the original. Like if I reset just this note, this is how I originally sang it. I don't know if you hear that, but it's slightly sharp. And so when you go into Logic and pitch correct it, you know, if you just grab it and say pitch corrected 100%, it bumps it down right onto that, you know, that note, which is a B. So yeah, that's how the pitch correction works. Jessica says I could definitely use some pitch correction. Okay. So that's what I do with vocals. I do pitch correct them. Let's get out of here. So it's about 5:30. I probably need to go. So let me go back so I can just talk to you for a bit. Oh no, this happened earlier. My camera. There you see, my camera went away. What happened to it? Sorry, I'm giving you a black screen to look at. We'll go back to this. My camera was giving me issues today. I have a different camera than I used to use for the live stream. This is, oh, here we go, we're back. For some reason my camera turned off, so here I am. And I had all kind of stuff, like all kind of problems getting this camera to work. Let me answer some questions. Jamie says, the question is, do you quantize to the key? Jamie says, do you auto-tune the key? No, I'm assuming, are you asking, do I tell Logic that I'm in the key of G, and for example, in this song, and then it auto-tunes to that key? No, what I do is I actually select everything, and I just pitch correct it 100%, and what that will do is snap it to the nearest note that it's on. So, so it snaps it to the nearest note. So if I'm supposed to be singing a B and I'm slightly above a B, it'll snap it down. But if I'm actually closer to a C than a B, it'll actually pitch it up to a C, so it'll be a note off when it's pitch corrected. So you have to go in and manually edit every single one. If you don't, it won't sound right. It'll sound not very natural at all. So that's a good question. Pitch correction in Logic, or anything really, I think Logic basically either they bought the tech or they stole it from Melodyne. I'm sure they didn't steal it, but were inspired by Melodyne because it works just like Melodyne does. I haven't used Melodyne in a long time. So here's the thing. What I wanted to do with a video like this is I actually had this idea the other night, and I was thinking it would be cool to do a behind the scenes of a song video where I showed you everything in one sitting. Like I'd play it, or at least like get the footage and edit it, edit the video and the audio and everything. And I was curious if that would be something you'd like. So if you want, I can show you. I've got just a few minutes before I need to leave. I can show you what the video does. Let me open up the video editor that I use for a lot of these. First of all, let me bounce out what I've got here. Let's just say I'm going to get in Logic and bounce the track. Sounds like something's happening here to my computer. I don't know. So, overcome, project. I don't have the video files for this one yet, off the cards. So, if that's something you'd want to see, let me know. Especially I think it would be cool to show you how I edit the video, like in the video editor. That's what I've always thought would be fun. All right. Let's see. Questions. Hopefully, maybe Bradford has been answering some of these. Fade to black. Yeah, yeah. I had a camera issue there for a second. On my Martin CEO 7... CEO, that's the CEO 7, is the 9-volt battery on the left-hand side of the neck block. I actually think it's like right below it. So on my D35, it's like if you reach your hand into the guitar, it's off to the right. So if you look at it, it's like to the right, but on the CEO 7, it's just right below it. You can put it really anywhere you want in there. Okay. Colin says, Brian, would the in-ears absolutely have to be plugged into a soundboard, or could I use my phone? I'm not exactly sure what you're asking about there, Colin. What are you trying to do? Maybe I missed that earlier. Jamie says you guys would love to see some video edit. That would be cool. I might do that. The problem is the computer. I don't know if this computer would handle editing video, like 4K video, and streaming, because just the streaming, like this software that I use to stream is old, and so it takes a lot of resources. Sarge says, do you use the Logic Drummer at all? Yes, I do. I love the Logic Drummer. It's very cool. And I actually have like a custom Logic kit that I use. So the Logic Drummer will like follow the song that you want. You can do all kind of cool stuff with it. But then I convert the drummer data into MIDI data, and then I put it in a custom kit. It's all built into Logic, but I've used a lot of plugins and stuff that makes it sound, at least I think it sounds good. Oh, a talkback mic. Miriam asks, what is a talkback mic? So Miriam, a talkback mic is like, say your band is on the stage and they've all got in-ears like I do on right now, and that's how they monitor. With these things block out so much sound that you can't hear anything. Like you can't hear ambient noise at all. So like if someone were in the room trying to talk to me, I wouldn't hear them with these in. So what a talkback mic does is it's just a microphone that you just that puts audio into the musician's in-ears. So a lot of soundboards have talkback mics just built into them. So whoever's running the sound, whoever's running the audio, can just push the mic button or talking to the mic, and they can communicate with everyone on stage. Or a lot of times what you'll have is what's called an MD, or a music director, on the stage. A lot of the bigger worship bands do this, like Elevation or Hillsong, and they'll just have a guy in the back who's playing, who's part of the band, or maybe even in the front, and they'll have a microphone that's only routed to the in-ears, not to the house, so they can just talk to everybody in the band, and they'll just say, hey, we're going to go to the chorus here, or something. That's what a talkback mic is. It's a good question. Jamie, what are the two electric guitars in the background? The red one behind me is Shelton Galaxy Flights Jazzmaster style guitar, and this white one over here is an MJT Telecaster. The Shelton is just like, those guitars are incredibly good. Okay, so when you play drums at home, I don't have a soundboard. Could I use my iPhone to play music and use an app to hear yourself? I'm assuming you mean to monitor yourself, Colin? The iPhone, you can't really monitor through an iPhone. Nothing's really going to send audio to it. At least I don't understand what would be doing that in your situation. So I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. But hey, I think I probably need to go pretty soon. Hopefully this has been informative. I just thought it would be fun to do this. And I haven't gone live in such a long time. But apparently Bradford and I are going to go live on Friday when he comes over here to help me with some video work. Some stuff we're going to work on. So maybe you can catch us again. I got to work on this image that I'm seeing of myself. I don't like the way it looks. Probably because the half of my face that you're looking at is sort of in the shadow. Look at that. This camera is responsive. Come on, camera. There you go. This is a good camera, by the way. It's a Sony A9, in case you're curious what camera that is. Any other questions real quick? I'm going to sign off otherwise. Thanks for hanging out with me. Next time we'll do some video stuff. I can actually show you the last video I did, just really quick. I posted it today. The "Oh Come All You Faithful" song video. I use software called, well, it depends. Depends on what I'm doing. Let me go back to my screen here so you can see what I see. Do you see what I see? It's almost Christmas time. All right. This is, yes, we'll probably be on at 4 o'clock Eastern on Friday, live. Okay, so this software is called Davinci Resolve. It's actually free. So if you're looking for awesome video editing software, this is it, free. I love this. So I either use Davinci Resolve, I use Premiere Pro, there you can see it, or I use Final Cut. I own all three of them. All three of them are great depending on what you do. Some people like to stick to one. over others. I actually use them all. Premiere is the one I've used the most in my life. And then beyond that, Final Cut, and then Davinci. Davinci is like a very pro color editing program, color grading program. Actually, most Hollywood movies that have been shot in the last 10 years have been graded, which means the way they look, on this software called Davinci Resolve. And it's free, so it's very cool. Okay, so the first thing is, this is the edit itself. So I have two cameras. You can actually see here, if I go to this other timeline, I call it the content cut. There are my two cameras. So I have like a main camera, and then I have a second camera. And I just run them both at the same time. You're not hearing the audio from this. I'm not sure why. Oh well, it's not that important. And so, yeah, I just cut between them. You know, I just kind of find where it feels nice to cut between them. The camera that I used for the main shot was a Sony A9. The camera that I used for the side shot is Sony A6500. The Sony A6500 is an awesome camera for, you know, compared to like a lot of cameras, relatively inexpensive. The A9 is not so inexpensive, but I really like that camera. Okay, so after I do the edit, I get to this. This is the final version. In the final version, I put all of the chord charts in it, or the chord diagrams. So the cuts are there. They're the chords that follow me, and then I also put lyrics in. So, and that's just the built-in lyric tool in Resolve. Like all these programs have lyric editors built into them. Okay, and then I make these chord charts myself in Photoshop. All right, so let's move on. The color. This is where this is why I use this program for these things. So the color is important. Let's just take. Here's the A9 shot. That's a funny still frame. Let's find a better one. There we go. That looks a little better. So why is it not letting me? Oh, it's because it's on. Here, hold on. Let's get rid of the chords and the lyrics, just so we can just see the color. Okay. So what I've done is I've grouped all of the clips from the same camera together, so they're all grouped. So when I color one, I color all of them. All right. And so this is what this thing looks like before I color it. That's what it looks like straight out of the camera. I have sort of a flatter look on my camera. And then after I color, it looks like this. So I can turn these off one at a time. So the first thing that I do is like a bass correction. And it looks really funny because I do the first two at the same time. So this is what's called a LUT. And I use a LUT by Ultimate Vision Color called Kodak Vision 3 200T. It's like looks like a Kodak film look. That's what it is. And then I do you can adjust these color wheels. So this is what it looks just with the LUT on by itself, and then I edit the color there. I usually like to see the parade when I edit. Okay. And then I add some curves, which just adds a little bit of contrast. There you can see the curve that I add. I pull pull the shadows down a little bit because that LUT pushes them up. And then the next thing I do is skin tone. This is really cool, actually. So one of the reasons why Davinci Resolve is awesome is because you can go in and you can qualify just for certain colors. So you can see it's just affecting that color in this node. And so I've adjusted my skin tones. So if you watch my skin on this shot, when I turn this off, it gets a little paler, a little redder. That just looks better to me. So, and then I add a vignette, and then I sharpen it a little bit, which I'm sure in this screen you probably can't tell the differences in some of these things. But when you're looking at it like in 4K on this monitor, you can see it. And then export. And that's it. And I went into almost zero detail about that, but anyway, that was what I thought would be fun to show you guys. I see that I'm not getting any responses about this video editing stuff, so I don't know if you guys are into this stuff or not. But Colin is very curious about the Anthem pickup. I have an LR Baggs Anthem pickup in my Martin guitars, and he's asking about the battery. I don't remove the strings to change the battery. I just loosen them, pull them over to the side, reach my hand in. And so Alex was asking if I could spell out the software, or the video editing software, the free one. It's Davinci Resolve, D-A-V-I-N-C-I, just like Leonardo da Vinci. And then Resolve, R-E-S-O-L-V-E, Davinci Resolve. It's made by Blackmagic. Blackmagic is a company that makes cameras and software and that kind of, and lots of hardware. Blackmagic design, Davinci Resolve. It's good stuff. It looks extremely difficult to use when you open it up. So there's a lot of tutorials out there on the internet about how to use Davinci Resolve. It's actually a really great editor, and it's awesome for color grading. Okay, so Jamie says, how do you know? So I don't take the strings off to change the batteries in those Martins. And how do you know if they're about to die? The LR Baggs Anthem has a battery indicator. You push it and it gives you like 5 lights. Some of them don't have battery indicators, so that would scare me. That's one of the reasons why I went with the Anthem versus, I think the Lyric doesn't have one, so I really wanted that battery indicator. Okay, any other questions? My computer over here, the fans are just going full speed, so that's why you're hearing the slight rustling in the background. It's computer fans. Hi, Zion. Okay, so maybe in the future I'll do some more of this behind the scenes editing thing. And get the lighting better on my face. Until then, Bradford and I are going to be live on Friday together. Bradford, if you're still with us, we got to figure out what we're going to talk about. So if you have something you want us to talk about, let me know. And with that, I don't have like a there's a few more questions. I had some questions. I saw a question about Bigsby's. I did not like Bigsby's. I've had 2-3 guitars with Bigsby's in the past. I don't get along with Bigsby's. They don't stay in tune very well for me, and if a guitar will not stay in tune, I don't want it. So that Jazzmaster back there has a Mastery bridge on it. One of the best I've ever played. The best tremolo vibrato that I've ever played is Duesenberg. I think they call it the Tremola, and you can actually put that on other guitars. Duesenberg Tremola, I don't know how they say that. So that I highly recommend those. Check those out. I'm not a fan of a Bigsby. I have put a Bigsby on a Telecaster that I liked, and it ruined it, in my opinion. Sounded different, sustain was gone, tuning issues, tone was gone. Maybe it was user error, but I've had that experience with any Bigsby I've ever used on a guitar. I'm not a fan of them. A lot of people are big fans of them, so Tremola, Bradford says. Duesenberg Tremola. Tremola? Which syllable do you emphasize? That makes a big difference. Tremola, Tremola, Tremola? I don't know. But yeah. Bradford likes Bigsby's. Not me. Okay. Tremola. Tremola. Okay. Duesenberg Tremola. All right. I got to go pick up my son from daycare. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being here. All right, I'm going to try and end this gracefully. We'll do that by putting a logo up. See you next time. Bye.